So you may think clock is a very simple event, and it probably is compared to most of the other puzzles. But that doesn't mean you can't apply some advanced stuff to your solves. In this video, I'll be showing you guys 10 tips to improve your clock solves. Let's get started. Okay, so this one doesn't necessarily apply to lots of people, but I personally do this, and I don't know, you might find it a bit better. A lot of the top people actually don't do this, but I find it a bit easier in a way. It depends on your pin order and stuff as well, so I guess you can try it out and see if you like it, otherwise it's not a massive issue. But you don't have to always flip like this with next to, because I personally don't think it's always better in the long run with my pin order. I would probably start with this side here and end up around here and do a 5 or something. And I'd flip this way if I was to do an x2. And that would be 5, -4, which is not optimal. And there's probably a better way to do that, so I could try and look the other ways. That's already better, 3, 2, and 4, -1, that's not as good. So I'd probably go with this, even. And once you get used to flipping diagonally and sideways, it's also not that bad. Obviously, you'll probably be a little bit slower flipping sideways rather than straight this way. It's just going to be a better solution some of the time anyway. Like, I can see that these two will match if I do this as well, which is just a lot better, so if I can do this, and instantly go into this, and then it's just a lot faster in general, to be honest. But you don't really have to do that one if you can find a way around it, but if you think it might be helpful, then you can give it a go anyway. Okay, so this tip is for people who aren't as efficient and maybe average more like 15 or in the 10s range somewhere. This is basically getting into the start of lucky cases and everything and trying to find good options you can do. So this side doesn't look good because this center doesn't match with any of these, and this center doesn't match with any of these either. But now you want to look for a diagonal case, which does come up quite often, and was actually my 490 with no other edges matching my center. So you can see these two here are the same, and that is what you want. So you can actually do both these at once, rather than doing, let's say, one of them, and just breaking the other one apart. So you could just do this, and you can match them together like this and have all three together. And I think that was a good tip to put in here just because I've seen a lot of people that don't do that and it's very easy to learn. So I've seen this a lot, and a lot of like beginner and intermediate clockers use 2 pins to do one move on like the very first or second move. And that's really unnecessary because it slows down the moves. Like if I was to turn 2, it's not super fast compared to 1. Basically, the less pins you have up, the faster you can turn it. So if you can use 1, that's definitely what you want to do. So people will do something like this and try and turn like these two together or something like that. And then turn, I don't know, like that or something. You don't have to do that. So for example, you can just do like 1, 1, and then at the end when you have 4 together, you can use 2. And then just use all for that. But yeah, try and not use 2s if you can, because it just slows you down a little bit more. And it also moves other pieces around a lot more, meaning it's harder to look ahead, so that's a really bad habit to have, and if you can get rid of it, that's definitely a thing you should fix. Okay, so I set up a fairly easy scramble for this, just to show a good example, basically so you can visualize it a bit easier. And if you don't already, you should be doing one side, moving them all to 12 o'clock, doing the other side, and then going straight into corners. So the second side, you shouldn't be moving straight into 12 o'clock. So that means the second side, AUF doesn't matter at all for the cross. Meaning you want to try to get the best AUF on the first side you do. So this is a 2-move side by moving these two down to match these two, and then bringing it back to here. But that's going to end with all of them facing opposite of 12 o'clock, and you have to do a 6 at AUF. So instead of doing that, I set up this side here, which is a bit better. So you can move these two into these two here, and then moving all those 4 to this one here. And this one would move by 1, meaning it would be 1 off 12 o'clock. So instead of doing this side and getting here and doing 12 o'clock there, you can just go like this, doing that one there, and -1 to get to 12 o'clock. And here, if I did this side first, I'd end up here. And I would have to do this, but that's a lot slower, because it's also turning like every single pin, which is generally really slow. But I can end here and go straight into corners. Okay, so I found this one very helpful for official solving, because it stopped me DNFing a lot, so basically, you want to kind of safety your last turn, in especially official solves, but it's good to practice at home as well. And then when you reach corners, you kind of want to slow down the last move. If I try doing something like that, I might just underturn. This is really risky trying to do fast moves near the end. It's okay more to do it during the middle of the solve, even that's a bit risky, but if you can do that, it's fine. But at the end of the solve, I try and slightly slow my turning down, because it's so easy to DNF from the last move, because you're kind of dropping it at the same time. I try and do that or something. I did get that time, but kind of like a 5 or something, you can easily mess that up. And safetying a little bit of your solve at the end won't affect too much, but you especially want to do this if you have like a DNF in your average already. So as an example, both sides of the scramble might not look very good at all. There's actually a pretty easy case here that gets 4 pieces in 2 moves. Not sure if you would have found it, but it's here. So you can do this, and straight into there. So basically make sure to look for cases like this, where doing one move to pair another one might actually pair up 2 other ones. So since I'm moving this one here right once, it's going to pair these 2 up, so I can do this and this at the same time. So this basically takes a lot of practice, especially doing untimed solves and all that, so you'll eventually find those more often anyway. Okay, so this will be very important for look ahead. You basically want to try and use the least amount of moves possible. Not full moves, but actually just each individual move for one turn. So for example, doing this side here, it could be -2, -1 for me on my pin order, so DL, UL. So I can do -2, -1, and that's not bad, because the other side would give me 2, 1, same way, so 2, then 1. And you want to look for the best possible example and look ahead. So for example, if I did it this way, it would be 3, -5, and that's not great because it's going opposite ways, and there's a -5 at the end. And this one would be 3, -6, or 3, 6. And that's a lot more moves than simply just doing it this way. So you definitely want to look for stuff like that and look ahead, because that can improve your solves a lot. Okay, so you can probably tell what my pin order is from this video so far. And if you aren't sure, I start from the bottom and go up. So I'd do 4, 2 here, for example. But you don't actually always have to stick to your pin order, especially if there's a lucky case, for example, on this side. So on this side, I'd actually start with UL and go like this. And then I would flip and do my normal pin order, but you don't always have to stick to your normal one. So my clock isn't really set up very well right now, so it's not a great time to talk about this example. But in official solves, you want to try to turn smoother rather than faster, because I tried turning faster a lot of the time, and my solves got completely ruined. Like at Anira in Auckland, I got 7 averages, an average maybe mid to low 6. And recently, I think around since South Island Champs, I started getting better averages, and even at Pukekohe, I turned better and nearly got a 4 average. So, but if you find a way to turn well as well as smoother, then you can actually improve your official results a lot easier. Okay, so you might think this one sounds really obvious, and of course you're going to try and avoid DNFs, but after Nationals 2020, when I DNF'd out of 2 NRs and National Champion, I really needed to fix my solves because I kept DNFing apparently. I felt good before the comp because I wasn't getting many DNFs, but I got a couple during that average, and that completely ruined it for me. So after that comp, I tried fixing my DNFs at home, and I happened to DNF a lot less after that. So basically just trying to fix it turning near the end of solves, and throughout the solves, so making sure you don't actually mess something up on the back. So basically just try and fix your solves, try to DNF a lot less, and I haven't DNF'd an average officially since, so I guess it works. So hopefully that helps you guys as well. If you guys do DNF a lot, definitely fix that. Before this video ends, I'd like to let you all know about an awesome promotion from speedcube.co.nz. For the entire month of February, if you use this code at checkout shown on screen now, you can get a free bottle of DNM37 with any orders over $35. I hope you all found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.